Okay, good evening. Hello?
Hi.
All right, would like to reconvene to public session at 7:02 p.m. on April 19th, Wednesday, April 19th, 2023. And would like us all to rise and salute the flag, and then, hold on, we're gonna have a moment of silence, but please keep Corey Mumford's family and friends and the school district in your thoughts. So please stand. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Okay, I recommend approving tonight's agenda as submitted.
So moved.
First, Mr. Lee.
Second.
Second, Mrs. Pugh. Roll call vote, Mr. Lee.
Approved.
Mrs. Pugh.
Approve.
Mrs. Isler.
Approve.
And Mr. Nichols.
Approved.
So approved. Recommend the approval of the minutes of the Board of Education regular meeting of March the 15th, 2023.
So moved.
First, Mr. Nichols.
Second.
Second, Mrs. Pugh. Roll call vote, Mr. Nichols.
Approved.
Mrs. Pugh.
Approve.
Mr. Lee.
Approved.
And Mrs. Isler.
Approve.
So approved. Okay, recognition of guest. Dr. Laurel.
Good evening, everybody. Can I have Mrs. Handy, Mr. Parker, Mr. Hooper, Mr. Alvarez, and Mr. Wells, please come up and join me. Mike, you got it? Please, please. Ladies and gentlemen, most of you know me. I'm Sean Laramore, I'm the superintendent of Laurel School District. It gives me great pleasure this evening to publicly announce the creation of the Teach Rural Foundation. And you might be asking yourself, what is the Teach Rural Foundation? Yes, it is a partnership between the Teach Rural Foundation, the Laurel School District, and Wilmington University, who's represented here this evening by Mr. Tyler Wells. First of all, it's a 501c3 charitable organization. It is a non-profit, and it is galvanized by the teacher shortage. As many of you know, in November we had several teachers this year leave our school district, and we were left stranded. We had several classrooms that went unfilled at the secondary level in science all year long. And as we looked for reasons why teachers were leaving and we tried to get other teachers, one of the common themes was, the salary, incentives, signing bonuses, stay-on bonuses, etc. And all these things were very exasperating because other districts were offering them. Laurel is not a property-rich district, as all of you guys know. And we've got to do things outside the box. So I was very frustrated by the loss of quality teachers and the fact that so many of our students had to go without certified teachers in their classroom this year. And I said, there's got to be something we can do. So around November, I went to go see a CPA, and with my own financing, I started the Teach Rural Foundation, and I just received my EIN last week. And I want to share some other information with you about it. The objective of the Teach Rural Foundation is threefold. We want to tirelessly network and fundraise. This is separate from the Laurel School District, okay? It is separate from the Laurel School District. We will not be taking any money from the Laurel School District. We will not be dipping into fundraising that is the pool of the Laurel School District. This will be something that's done outside of Laurel for the most part, by and large. Our objective is also to recruit high-quality educators in high-need subject areas in high-poverty rural districts like our own. And finally, we want to retain high-quality educators. Okay? Not last, certainly not least. It's going to be exclusively focused on Laurel until Laurel's teaching shortage is shored up 100%. And I'm talking probably for the next 3 to 5 years, this foundation will be exclusively focused on Laurel. And the things that we want to do is offer tuition assistance for teachers who come here, all right? We want to offer not only sign-on bonuses for high needs positions, we want to offer stay-on bonuses for the teachers and staff members who have been working wearily trying to keep things afloat for us in the post-COVID years. And also, at some point, we want to offer housing assistance to recruit these new teachers to come along. You may also be wondering, well, who is the Teach Royal Foundation? I am the founder and chairman, and this time I'd like to introduce our founding board members. Laurel alum, Laurel teacher, Laurel resident, Ms. Amy Hannon. Laurel alum, Laurel resident, Matt Parker, Laurel businessman. Laurel resident and Laurel staff member, Wayne Hoop. And Laurel alum, Chad Alvarez. Also, I would like to introduce our educational partners, particularly Wilmington University and a gentleman named Tyler Wells. The role of Wilmington University in this is vast, but just to keep it short, as we recruit new teachers, okay, if there are some who have bachelor's degrees or master's degrees, but not in education, they can enter what they call alternative route certification. They can get paid as an educator as long as they take ARTC classes, alternative route certification. Wilmington University, through Mr. Tyler Wells, who had a decade-plus relationship with, has offered their professors to teach these ARTC classes here in the Laurel School District, so those new teachers don't have to travel to make it further enticing for them to come here. Thank you, Mr. Wells of Wilmington University. And finally, although we do not have any direct relationship with the Laurel School District proper, they would approve anything that we want to do on behalf of the Laurel School District. So they are also our educational partners. So thank you. And finally, you might be wondering, well, why is the Teach Royal Foundation needed? There's a few reasons here. Laurel was recently announced as the poorest town in the state of Delaware. The research on inequities of students that live in rural areas is vast, okay? And we're talking all the way from access to AP classes to access to high-quality teachers. We have it worse than everybody else. The Education Foundation also allows us to go after federal grants. That's what I'm talking about. We're not going to be dipping into Laurel's pool of money. We're not going to be re-fundraising on and going around asking for the same dollars that you guys are asking for in your fundraising. We're going to be looking for federal dollars and federal partners. And finally, the most important thing about the Teach Royal Foundation is we need to stand in the gap. Standing in the gap is when you take up for somebody who can't take up for themselves. We've got 4 kids here. They need a lot of assistance. And it can't all be on the taxpayers. It cannot all be on the taxpayers. We got to do something. I'm very fortunate and thankful to have this group of gentlemen and lady with me here this evening to stand with me and help me stand in the gap. We're going to be looking for more board members. And we have a short video that Mr. Alvarez has put together that is also a part of the Teach Royal Foundation. And it's going to focus on our staff. We call it Staff Spotlight. I'll let you do, John.
So I am Amy Handy. This is my 31st year in the Laurel School District. My first 30 years were at the middle school level. I decided this year that I was going to take a new position. I am teaching at the high school. I teach 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. I am actually teaching in the Teacher Academy pathway. I've been in Laurel all my life. Laurel is who I am. It's where I'm from. Both sides of my family are from Laurel. Graduated in 1983. Very involved at Laurel Senior High School. I actually was a cheerleader for football, but then I decided to play basketball and I played softball. I was a class officer in SGA. Just took advantage of everything that Laurel had to offer. Played Little League here. It's just a big part of who I am. I believe that if you're passionate about teaching, you'll teach anywhere. But why Laurel? Our people, our community, our spirit. Not only do teachers work hard here and really care for the students, but I have been working for Laurel. This is my 31st year. And it really wasn't until about 9 years ago when Dr. Laurel and his team came in and I saw a total shift. Not only did our test scores go up, the camaraderie, just the whole culture changed here. I have to applaud this administration because I feel like they have a vested interest. They have a vested interest in our schools and our community with our mission, relationships, relevance, rigor, people practices, performance. I mean, all of those, our mission tied together, it came to life. They motivated not only the teaching staff, but in turn, we were able to motivate our students. And as a result, Laurel has blossomed into the school district that I knew that it could always be. And I am just forever grateful that Dr. Larimore, Mr. Giska, it has really made a huge difference. I am even more proud to be a Bulldog, and I am even prouder to be from Laurel.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about another round of applause for Amy Handy? Board member of Peach Grove, also ready to produce that, so how about a round of Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please join me in welcoming Mrs. Donna Ward on behalf of the BART program at LES.
All right, hi everybody.
Hello.
I am ready to introduce you to some absolutely amazing Laurel staff members, Laurel students. The spirit that we have with this group is just, it's been infectious all through the school. Last year, a couple of the leaders and I, we coached girls on the run. And we absolutely love the program. It's very structured and you have to run. Like, that part got a little tricky on us. So we thought, team building, crafts, kind of like a little Girl Scout, making friends. So we came up with bark. So I'm not gonna tell you too much about it because our girls are gonna tell you about it. But I'm first gonna call our coaches. That's me. All right, we had a little helper who came every single week in the fall. We had 2 sessions. Our first session, we had 30 girls or 32, I'm not sure. And we had all of them came every single time. And we realized that was just a little too much, but we still wanted to service more children. So our second session, we had another 30 group, and we split it up, 15 one day and 15 another. So I appreciate all the staff members taking the extra time so we could have more girls. All right, but our little Hollis Hartstein came every single week, and her mom. Ashley Hastings. Rachel Mead. Betsy McDormand. Kristen Chan. Tiffany Turner. Kelsey Fritz. And Shanley, I don't think she's here. Lisa Stewart, I'm not sure if she was able to make it. Lisa Stewart, she helped us, and Miss Nordoff, she was in another. We also have several teachers, we kind of pick little, what would we want to do on certain days? Like one day we did dancing, and Miss Bean is a Irish jig dancer. We didn't know that. So we broke up into 3 segments, and a third of them went to Miss Bean, and she did some Irish jig dancing. And Miss Hartstein, she taught Zumba, very exciting. And then Miss Tuck, our art teacher, she does with the drumsticks. And the kids love that. So we had special guests that would come and they would just do one segment for us. Miss LeCate came one day, she does Mary Kay, and she did a whole fashion shoot with our girls. I mean, they learned how to put on makeup to make themselves feel a little bit better, but it was so much fun. So I'm gonna call you girls up now, okay? All right, Phoebe Allen. Oh, she's not here. Annalise Barrios Carroll. When you hear your name, come up here, girls. Woodley Basil, she's not here. Brooklyn Cecil. Oh, we have so many girls here. Parker Dickerson. Woo! A lot of them had Mag English, I think you are. Guadalupe Gonzalez Rivera. Hannah Hartstein. And these girls, their ages 2nd grade through 5th grade. We thought that was kind of like a nice little section. Kevin Hastings. Mariah Horsey. Oh, we got a lot of Jefferson girls, so I guess if one's not here, the other ones aren't. Lyric Jefferson. Abby McDormand. Sophie Messick. Dylan Miller. Mackenzie Tavlick. Jamie Pugh. Andrea Rivera Cruz. Miranda Romero. Allie Russell. Michaela Sneed. Jessie Stewart. Savannah Torlish. Is there anybody else in our? No, not you. All right, Aubrey Mitchell. And there was dancing, and there was singing, and there was cheering. So we just kind of want to give you a little bit of what we did. All right, so if you had a note card, they're going to tell you some of the events that we did. So you're going to talk really, really loud. All right, Dave, start us off.
A secret trail.
I don't know if y'all know, but behind our school, there's the coolest secret trail. Can't tell you much about it, but it's super cool.
Cause it's secret.
Okay, Dylan.
Bingo.
Halloween bingo. Pull up the card. Raise your hand if you got a card. Myra.
Making a chair.
Oh, we did a lot of cheers. And we usually had competitions. They love the competition. All right, Jason. Fashion show. We learned how to walk and all kinds of fun stuff. Savannah. Yep, we had paper dolls and they were able to dress them and create all kinds of cool stuff for them. All right, Allie. Ooh, chocolate covered cookies. That were a big hit. Kendall. Watermelon salsa. Kendall's mom from Gibbons Produce came out and brought watermelons, and the girls learned how to make a super healthy snack, and it was delicious. And I will send you guys the recipe. They're on my desk. All right. Oh, we can go outside, we can jump rope and have all kinds of fun. Crafts, we do a lot of crafts. Anybody else? Maddie?
It's a Halloween scavenger.
We had a big scavenger hunt. TV. Oh, we had sack races. Anybody else on this? Oh, Noah! What did you like?
I got it.
Tell me.
Chocolate
Chocolate covered strawberries. Huge hit. And they came from our FFA. You did a great job. All right, so we're gonna do a little cheer. Come up. My feet. Where's my feet? Feet right here. Come here. And Kendall. Okay. Okay. All right, so you can get it.
E is for
Beautiful. A is for
amazing. R is for resilient. A is for kind.
Come on, girls. Our bar groups for this year, so it was absolutely a blast. So awesome job, girl.
How many times?
Chet, once a week, for 10 weeks. So tomorrow, our second session, tomorrow, girls, meet for Tuesday and Thursday, we have our last meeting, so make sure you come tomorrow. They just sit right out of the picture.
Did they get pictures? Roy, did you get pictures?
Yeah, I took some. Okay.
Yeah, it was cute.
She better stay or they gonna leave.
I think they've already done it.
I took a picture of that
He
font.
said he wasn't on the board.
No, she said she
Ladies and gentlemen, how about another round of applause for Laurel? Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please join me again in welcoming Mrs. Amy Handy on behalf of the Laurel High School Ed Rising program.
Wow, what a journey it has been, but it has been amazing. I didn't realize what I was getting into when I decided to leave the middle school and to come over to the high school. But this experience as the educator for Teacher Academy and Ed Rising has rejuvenated me to the point where I think I might be able to go another 20 years. Just joking, but I do want to thank the boards, Susan, Ms. Giles, who was kind of in on this, for giving me the opportunity to serve as the instructor to grow our own, so to speak. We have intelligent, dedicated, smart, driven students who will come back and make hardworking, compassionate, dedicated, and motivated teachers.
All right.
This was clearly evident on March 7th and 8th when 12 of my students competed against 250 students throughout the state of Delaware. And for the first time in the existence of this Teacher Academy Ed Rising program here in Laurel, we had 5 first place winners. We had a second place winner, 2 third place winners, and what I like to call my most valuable team winners. These students went above and beyond my expectations when preparing for competition. They dedicated themselves to which events they were going to be interested in. They decided which event they were going to be interested in. They unpacked the event description and the rubrics. They spent hours every week, and it definitely paid off. And before we celebrate these students, I'd like to show you a brief slideshow of some of the things that we were able to do this year in the program. So my level 1 human growth and development group consists of mainly 9th graders. This is the first level in the pathway. They're introduced to lifespan development from pregnancy to adulthood. We study the physical, cognitive, social, emotional developments of each one of these age groups all throughout the year. And these are some of the events and some of my students in the program. My level 2, teaching as a profession, mainly my 10th graders. It covers all aspects of becoming a teacher, the history of American education, educational jobs, and teaching philosophies. Level 3, a lot of my 11th graders, that's curriculum and instruction. It covers content standards, including developing lesson plans and curricula. They observed multiple classrooms. We were even fortunate to have Mr. Giska come in and share with the students, teach the students on several occasions. Now, Educator Rising, this is the career and technical student organization, and this is where our students compete at both the state and national levels. For the first time, we held an induction ceremony. We make teacher appreciation gifts all throughout the year. We participated in the Laurel Christmas parade. We were able to do a book drive, and we handed out books throughout the parade. March 7th and 8th, this is where they were able to test everything that they had been preparing for. We have my junior varsity ethical dilemma team. We had junior varsity consist of our 9th and 10th graders. We had our varsity ethical dilemma team with our Spanish children's literature team. And let me just tell you a little bit, the ethical dilemma, they had an ethical dilemma that they had to debate, they had to come up with their own opinions about it, and then they had to come to the consensus as to how, using a code of ethics, how to come up with a solution for it. Gala did the Spanish children's literature competition. She wrote and illustrated a children's book, and she read it all in Spanish. It had to be about a moral situation. She presented it in Spanish, and I'll tell you how they fared at the end of this. We had our junior varsity public speaking competition with Ellie, and her topic was teacher shortage crisis. I'll tell you how she did at the end. Just a picture of my chaperones, Mrs. Hoon and Mrs. Milana. Some of our winners, some of our competitors. So, with that said, my 5 first place winners will be traveling to Orlando, Florida to compete in the national competition on June 28th to July 2nd. With that said, we are really going to need the help of our school, of our community to raise funds to get there. This is why, board, you had so many of them fundraisers come across your desk, because we need to raise the funds for it. I didn't realize that the CTSO programs like Ed Rising, we do have to raise our own funds, and because I'm really not a fundraiser, it might push me into retirement a little early, so we really need to get the funds. So without further ado, let me introduce you to my wonderful students. My first place winners, my varsity winners, Ethical Dilemma. They are Faith Givens, Jessica Price, and Caroline Ricketts. My first place winner for the junior varsity public speaking teacher shortage crisis is Miss Ellie Cooper. My first place winner for the Spanish children's literature K through 3 Spanish Gala Milana. My second place public speaking varsity couldn't make it, was Brianna White. My third place winner for Why I Want to Be a Teacher with Vinska Mouche. She isn't here today. My third place bronze lesson planning and delivery winner Kaylee Figgs. Also unavailable tonight. My most valuable team, my junior varsity ethical dilemma team, Fatima Dolamaz, she isn't here. Mara Hudson. And Cameron Morris. Give my Ed Rising winners a big round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next we have board participation. Mr. Lee, if you'd like to go first.
Yes, hi, good evening. Sure, it's a crazy good night already, but, yeah, it's been the Amy show, but we're okay with it. No, a lot of good things, Dr. Laurel. I really like the Teach Rural Foundation and thank the board members, because I know you're highly paid to do that, so, thank you for the time that you're gonna put in there as well. Congratulations to all the girls there that awards and just participating, I think that's fantastic. And then, of course, our BART group, I'm just mad I don't have a pink shirt, so I gotta get one of those. But it's a tough night, honestly, for a lot of us, as we mentioned earlier, about keeping the Mumford family in your thoughts and prayers. And for me, it hits home personally, and I'm going to talk about that just for a second, because I've known Corey for a long time. I have a son that's a senior at Laurel, and Brady's been hurt. And it's senseless, to be honest with you. It's senseless. And we need our community to really stand up and come together. And I know I see Mr. Sneed sitting here, and I know that they have good programs they have in place for youth, and it's just we just can't grasp people fast enough and long enough in this community. And we've got to come together as one, not just when things happen, but this has to be an everyday event. I've been here my entire life in Laurel. I came back to Laurel when I moved away to play baseball, but I made sure I came back because I love this place so much. And I want my kids to come back. I believe in this place. And I don't care what they say about the state of Delaware, about it being the poorest town or whatever. I would go to battle with this group sitting right here along this wall any day of the week. Any day of the week. And Trina, what you and your team have done is fantastic, and it's not unnoticed. So thank you so much for your leadership and what you've done. But I just want to say that tonight because I do believe in this community, and sometimes it takes senseless tragedies for us to really start to wrap our heads around things that are happening. We can't be blind to it. But this group that's in this room tonight, you guys can make a change starting not tomorrow, but tonight. Tonight. Because tomorrow's too late. It's never promised. It's never promised. Okay? We have to understand that. So my thing is tonight, we got to continue to talk about the things of the opportunities. We got to continue to have folks like Mr. Sneed and what they do for the youth. We got to have leaders like we have in our schools, but we need more. We need more. So that's my ask of you tonight. And I appreciate y'all being here tonight, and thank you for that time. And I'm sorry that I took a little bit of time, but it's been a hard few days for my family. My son has to come read me text messages from Corey because he misses him and he doesn't understand. He's 18 years old, but he doesn't understand. Okay, so thank you for the time, and keep Laurel strong. Keep Laurel strong.
Thank you. Mrs. Pugh?
Well, I'm piggyback on what he said. They say Laurel's the poorest town in Delaware. We're rich in a lot of ways. And right here tonight was a good demonstration of the wealth in this town. And we've all been through a lot, and we all need to pull together. And anybody watching us, from students to parents to grandparents to neighbors, it doesn't matter. You've got to make a decision to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. It's one or the other. And we have got to take care of our kids. We've got to do it. And remember, we're very rich, a very rich community. It's been proven to us.
Mrs. Isma?
Kind of piggybacking, y'all know, usually I have a lot of words. I don't have that many tonight, but piggyback off of what they said. We're getting it done here in Laurel, and I myself am very proud to be a member of this community. Let's just keep showing up, Laurel, and doing great things. And, 'cause, 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 ' on a kind of side note, it's re-election time for me, so if you see my signs out, spread the word. I appreciate you showing me your support in advance. So thank you, everyone, in advance. And I'm sorry, it's so broken, but my thoughts are scattered, so forgive me if I don't make much sense to anybody right now.
Thank you. Mr. Nichols.
My heart goes out to the Mumford family and to the people of Laurel. Someone asked me a long time ago, I've been to a lot of places. I was in the Air Force, so I got to see a lot of the world that some people haven't. And every place I went, I kept thinking, that's not home. And so someone asked me after that, said, why do you want to live in Laurel? And an example of that is if y'all remember not too long ago, there was a fire uptown here. And the hotel burned down, and there were Laurel students, and there were Laurel teachers, and they were right there. It was cold. They left with no coats, and next thing you know, there were kids out there, people bringing coats. I mean, if you go to New York City, you gonna have that? I don't think so. I don't think, they say it takes a family to raise, or a community to raise kids. And this community here thinks about your kids, they think about the family, and I love it because of that. I would never, we can be the poorest, in the state if you want, but still, I think we've got something more valuable than money, and I'm happy to live here. Thank you.
Thank you. And all I'm gonna say is I piggyback off of every board member sitting here. Thank you. Okay, next, we are having public participation, and the next person that will be speaking has followed the proper protocol and has submitted, which goes through the superintendent, and has asked for an extended period of time to speak. So it has been granted, and Mrs. Cunningham, Angie Cunningham, she will be given 7 minutes to speak. So that takes care of number 3 on our board policy. So I'm following up with number 4, that speakers may offer objective criticism of school operations and programs, but the board will not hear complaints about school personnel or other persons at a public session. There's other channels providing for board consideration of complaints involving individuals exist and shall be used. The board president will have the authority to terminate the remarks of any individual who does not adhere to the above rules. Persons appearing before the board are reminded that although requests may be directed to the board, action and answers to questions must be deferred pending board consideration. Okay, Mrs. Cunningham, Mrs. Isler will start the timer with your first word.
Since the last school board meeting, I have received an overwhelming amount of support from parents, staff, and previous staff. Many have shared thoughts and ideas on how we can possibly start making small changes to curb the violence in our schools. We need to look at the big picture in order to start making these changes so we can have a safe environment for our children to learn in. Also, since the last meeting, the Parents' Bill of Rights was passed. This allows parents to have the right to know what is being taught in school. Parents have the right to be heard. Parents have the right to see the school budget and spending. Parents have the right to protect their child's privacy. And most importantly, parents have the right to be updated on any violent activity at school. A few of the things that I feel could possibly make a difference, especially after the recent tragedy that our town has faced. We should mandate clear, see-through book bags. This will help monitor what is being brought into our schools. Many schools have put this in place throughout the nation, although it will not be able to completely keep every weapon out of our school. It would be a start. 2022 had the most school shootings to date. We should also think about putting metal detectors at all entrances. We need to look closely at the repeat offenders and the violent offenders in the classrooms. There need to be other consequences than just suspension. Delaware had the largest decline in test scores in the nation between 2019 and 2022. Many teachers have said that a lot of the time in the classroom is not spent teaching, it is spent trying to manage the children and their behaviors in the classroom. Therefore, the students that are having behaviors are taking the time away from students that are there to learn. These students that are repeat offenders, especially if they assault children and they cause physical harm, they should not be allowed to return to school. They should be referred to alternative school where their behaviors and their violent actions can be handled. Also, we need to look at what's causing the huge staff turnover. Why are so many teachers leaving? I understand that a lot of it has to do with salary. There are other schools in our district that pay at least $10,000 more a year to a teacher. So while we are in the teacher crisis that we're in, perhaps we can contact teachers that have retired. I know there are many teachers in other districts that still volunteer their time, and they actually look forward to doing that, because sometimes we have to think outside the box. Our children deserve better. We do need to look at hiring teachers so that they can have a longevity and build relationships with students. This will earn respect from the students, and therefore the teachers can better then manage them. We need to offer training for administration to be able to learn tools to put in place to make the district more safe and curb the violence. Have administration visit the successful schools that have lower violence than we do and see what their discipline model is and what has been effective for those schools. Look at our hiring process. For example, I was informed from a para in the district that she had several years of experience and she had applied for a full-time position but was not hired. However, the position, I was told by this para, was filled by a recent high school graduate. This could be one example of how we did not make the best choice to benefit our students. Teachers are afraid to write referrals because if they write too many referrals, they are then put on an improvement plan and they risk losing their job. So many teachers have said that they have to overlook certain behaviors and they have to literally pick their battles because if referrals are written, they don't want to be put on an improvement plan and risk losing their job. We also need to come together so parents and the board and administration can work together to solve the problems. Transparency is needed, and parents need the ability to speak open and freely with no restrictions so all issues can be addressed for the safety of our children. If that means that someone's feelings have to be hurt, let's think about we as adults, if we get our feelings hurt because someone has something to say that we don't feel was the right thing to say, think about our children every day that are being bullied, that are being subject to violence. Why are the feelings of adults more important than our children? These children are being mentally, emotionally, and physically harmed. If administration holds parents who speak at board meetings to a certain standard, why are the violent students not being held to the same standard? Why are they allowed to continue in the district to torment other students? We need to come together and create a forum that parents can get feedback when they speak at the board meetings. I can talk at every board meeting, offer suggestions. However, if we can't talk openly, how do we know what the follow-up is on our ideas? How do we know that what we are talking about is even being discussed as options? I really feel that the violence in our schools and also in the town is a time that everyone comes together. We need to unite and figure out the best plan that we can talk openly. So I would like for the board to come up with a plan that when parents speak and we offer options and ideas like the mandated clear book bags, the metal detectors, administration having training, how do we as parents get feedback knowing that these things were even taken into consideration? If the board and administration feels those things are not appropriate, then tell the parents what is appropriate so we can come together. There are plenty of parents in the community that would do fundraising projects, whatever would be needed to get the children what they need. So,
Okay, Mrs. Cunningham, a lot that you have brought up has been discussed, but what I would like for you to do is reschedule your meeting with Dr. Larimore and Mr. Giska would also be there because he's the one that handles when it gets to the point that it has to go before him as far as the student disciplinary hearings. Goes before him, and then a lot of them have to come before the board. But a lot that you have said and a lot that it boils down to is where we would have to go to our legislators for finances.
Right.
That's what a lot of it, but a lot can be shared with you that not knowing this until I'm in my 11th year on the board, but I have been to every board meeting for 14 years. And what I have learned is unreal because there is a lot that we can't do that everybody thinks we can do as far as punishment. We can't. That could be explained to you so that would help you better understand, you know, and really with the public, it would help them better understand.
right, and I have been asked to speak at different meetings. I spoke at one last night at a town hall where I did learn a lot of information about the whole state of Delaware, what a lot of the schools are going through, and different models that they're looking at to try to curb the violence statewide. So.
Well, I appreciate you speaking, but again, I would like you to reschedule your meeting with Dr. Larimore. Mr. Giska would be there. Mr. Giska can answer a lot of questions for you, and I really would like for you to do that.
I would love to do that, but at the advice of my attorney, she would have to be present along with the attorney for the school. So at any time that we can make that happen, I'm open to that.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, the next person that is signed up, and I will read the entire board policy, because I don't believe they've ever spoken before. They have been asked, the board policy is they have up to Mr. Wayne Hooper. Where's he at? Right there. Oh. Okay, he will be allowed to speak up to 5 minutes. If you wish to speak longer, you can arrange for a place on the board's agenda by writing to or emailing the superintendent that desire in writing and the topic no later than 3 full working days prior to the day of the regular meeting, which is normally the third Wednesday of the month. Speakers may offer objective criticism of school operations and programs, but the board will not hear complaints about school personnel or other persons at a public session. Other channels providing for board consideration of complaints involving individuals exist and shall be used. The board president will have the authority to terminate the remarks of any individual who does not adhere to the above rules. Persons appearing before the board are reminded that all their requests may be directed to the board. Action and answers to questions must be deferred pending board consideration. Mr. Hooper, when you say your first word, Mrs. Isler will set the timer.
Hi, my name is Wayne Hooper. Madam President, Vice President, and ladies and gentlemen of the board, of the Board of Education. I would like to speak to you tonight about concerns I have. First and foremost, I would like to ask everyone to keep the Mumford family, all kids, and the community of Laurel in your prayers.
Amen.
I have been an employee of the Laurel School District for the past 23 years. Let me start by saying I think there is a process to file a complaint about one of our schools. If I have a grievance about a school, I need to go to the principal of that school. And then if that does not satisfy me if I'm not satisfied with the outcome of that meeting, then I can take the next step. I'm a parent of 2 kids. They're adults, but if they were attending the Laurel School District and I became so disenchanted with the district and nothing that the district does wasn't satisfying me, I would take my kids out and leave. Law isn't for everyone. I have a right to school choice. Second concern I have is what I call the blame game. It's my responsibility to raise my kids. I need to stop blaming the Laurel School District for my shortcomings as a parent. I should take full responsibility for their behavior. The Laurel School District is not responsible for raising my kids. They are here to educate them.
Amen.
Last but not least, we had school for our kids on Mondays. So the district made the conscious decision to do what we thought was in the best interest of our students. We had resources readily available to all schools throughout our district, and they were together with their peers. When this senseless tragedy occurred, our students were on spring break. I'm 99.9% sure that if this tragedy would have occurred on Sunday, school would have been closed on Monday. I know we're all hurting, but do me a big favor. Stop making everything about race. May God bless the Mumford family, all of our kids, and the Laurel School District. Michael Jackson sang a song, and I quote, "I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could have ever been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change." We can do better, and we must do better. That includes myself, because I have fallen short on my community and our kids. One other thing I would like to address while I'm here. We took down what the kids call French's basketball courts because it became a safety issue. It had nothing to do with taking away anything from African American kids. Second of all, it became an eyesore in front of our multi-million-dollar building that our taxpayers paid for. Social media. It is not advantageous to our students, our district, or our community if I have a grievance with the Laurel School District and I go on social media and bash it. That does not benefit anybody. It does more harm than good. If you have a grievance with the Laurel School District, follow the proper process, and I guarantee you it will be settled. We have a strong leadership team from top to bottom. We can do better. We can do better, and we must do better. May God bless the Mumford family, and may God bless the Laurel School District and the community of Laurel. Thank you.
Next, I have a Mr. Stephen German that has signed up to speak.
Is it Stephanie?
Is it Stephen? Stephanie? Are they here?
Looks like Stephanie.
Maybe they signed the wrong form.
Yeah.
Because there's a form there to sign as far as being a guest.
No, they're with Bart.
Oh, they're with Bart? Okay. Well, tell them I called them out on speaking. Okay. Thank you. Thank to both of you. Thank to everyone that has spoke tonight. Thank you very much. Okay, financial report. May we have that?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Laura Horsey, I'm the Director of Finance. Accomplishments since our last board meeting last month, the security camera upgrade and expansion in Laurel was started to be installed over the spring break. They do have a shortage of some of the cameras, but the wiring is complete, so we're just waiting for those remaining cameras to come in and they'll be hooked up. The estimated unit count for our school year 23 and 24 will be the same as our prior year. Our 98% guarantee will remain unchanged at 185.22 units. And we did receive the amount for our give back or the reduction for FY24. That's going to be $427,178.69. That is the amount that we will give back to the state. For this year in FY23, we gave back $436,937. So this is a reduction of almost $10,000 that we'll be able to keep this year, or this coming year in FY24. Some things we have coming up. We have a local funds audit for FY22. We'll be doing our entrance conference with the auditors in the next couple of weeks. Our school construction audit for FY20, we still have not received the final report, but we have received some word that they may be working on FY21 and FY22 audits at the same time, so hopefully that will save some time and get them caught up. And as usual, our enhanced MCI allocation, we won't be receiving until we spend all of our MCI funds that we earned for FY23, so we expect that in the fall. The GEAR annual report is due to DOE on April 28th. The fourth quarter bond bill report is due to OMB by April 28th. And the financial position report is due to DOE on May 1st, and that's included in your packet tonight for approval. Also, our Citizens Budget Oversight Committee, the application form has been posted on our website. We're asking anyone that is interested to have those applications filled out and sent to us by the 24th of April. We're looking for 5 volunteers from the community. And looking forward to reestablishing the committee. And this is our updated snapshot of the reserve fund. As you can see, the red line is following the trend from last year. So if there are any questions or any comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. February 1st financial position report. Recommend to approval of the February 1st financial position report as submitted.
So moved.
First, Mr. Nichols.
Second.
Second, Mr. Lee. Roll call vote. Mr. Nichols.
Approved.
Mr. Lee.
Approved.
Mrs. Pugh.
Approved.
And Mrs. Isler.
Approved.
So approved. This is for her. You sign it. Okay. We have no unfinished business, so new business. Recommend approval of fundraisers as a group.
So moved.
First, Mr. Lee.
Second.
Second, Mrs. Pugh. Roll call vote. Mr. Lee.
Approved.
Mrs. Pugh.
Approved.
Mrs. Isler.
Approved.
And Mr. Nichols.
Approved.
So approved. Recommend approval of fundraisers as submitted.
So moved. Second.
First, Mr. Nichols. Second, Mr. Lee. Roll call vote. Mr. Nichols.
Approved.
Mr. Lee.
Approved.
Mrs. Pugh.
Approved.
And Mrs. Isler.
Approved.
So approved. No rentals. Professional trips. Recommend approval of trips as a group.
So moved.
First, Mrs. Isler, second, Mrs. Pugh. Roll call vote. Mrs. Isler?
Approve.
Mrs. Pugh?
Approve.
Mr. Lee?
Approve.
And Mr. Nichols?
Approve.
So approved. Recommend approval of trips as submitted.
So moved.
First, Mrs. Isler?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Pugh. Roll call vote. Mrs. Isler?
Approve.
Mrs. Pugh?
Approve.
Mr. Lee?
Approve.
And Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
So approved. Second reading of the 2024 calendar, the Laurel School District 2023-2024 school calendar as submitted and found on the district website and as found at the Laurel School District sites.
So moved.
First, Mrs. Isler.
Second.
Second, Mr. Lee. Roll call vote. Mrs. Isler?
Approve.
Mr. Lee?
Approve.
Mrs. Pugh?
Approve.
And Mr. Nichols?
Approve.
So approved.
We'd like to share the 2024 Staff of the Year Award building nominees. At this point, we have 2024 Teacher of the Year building level nominees, and Jenny Beck from Nalela, kindergarten teacher, Morgan Pace from LES, a second grade teacher, and Jeffrey Brabitz from LMS as a physical education teacher, and also Matt Wood, agri-science teacher at Laurel High School. The Staff of the Year ceremony will be when, Mrs. Lewis?
May 4th.
May 4th. And we'll also have that stream for those of you who cannot attend. Our 2024 Educational Support Staff of the Year building level nominees are Heather Lear, pre-K paraprofessional at Nalela, Michael Sneed, behavioral paraprofessional at Nalela, behavioral paraprofessional at LES, Teresa Jenkins, paraprofessional in grades 7 and 8 at Laurel Middle School, and Daisy Taylor, paraprofessional in grades 9 through 12 at Laurel High School. That will also be announced on May 4th. And unfortunately, the state for the Behavioral Health Professional of the Year is not on the same timeline as the other two awards. The building level nominees were Sharon Dalby from LES, Jara Parks, school nurse from LMS, and Melanie Shepard, school psychologist from LHS. And that award winner was Sharon Dalby, our 2024 District Health Professional of the Year. So congratulations to Mrs. Dalby. Thank you.
Thank you. The first reading of IKE promotion policy. Recommend the first reading of IKE promotional policy as submitted and found on the district website in the Board of Education policy section and as found at the Laurel School District sites. This policy will be available for review by the community at the Laurel School District buildings and on the district website. Community input is welcome and should be directed to the superintendent of schools no later than Tuesday, May 9th, 2023. Now we have action on executive session items. Personnel A, professional. Recommend approving personnel recommendations as listed in attachment A.
So moved.
Second.
First, Mrs. Pugh, second, Mr. Lee. Roll call vote, Mrs. Pugh?
Approve.
Mr. Lee?
Approve.
Mrs. Isler?
Approve.
And Mr. Nichols?
Approve.
So approved. Personnel attachment B, support. Recommend approving the personnel recommendations as listed in attachment B.
So moved.
First, Mr. Nichols, second,
Second. Second.
Mr. Lee. Roll call vote, Mr. Nichols?
Approve.
Mr. Lee?
Approve.
Mrs. Pugh?
Approve.
And Mrs. Isler?
Approve.
So approved. Recommend approving the personnel recommendations as listed in attachment C, which is coaches.
So moved.
First, Mrs. Isler.
Second.
Second, Mr. Lee. Roll call vote, Mrs. Isler.
Approve.
Mr. Lee.
Approve.
Mrs. Pugh.
Approve.
And Mr. Nichols.
Approve.
So approved. Personnel attachment D, cafe. Recommend approving the personnel recommendations as listed in attachment D.
So moved.
First, Mrs. Isler. Second, Mr. Nichols. Roll call vote, Mrs. Isler.
Approve.
Mr. Nichols.
Approve.
Mrs. Pugh.
Approve.
And Mr. Lee.
Approve.
So approved. Future agenda items, the next regular board meeting will be scheduled for Wednesday, May 10th, 2023, 7 p.m. right here. Do I have a motion we adjourn?
So moved.
First, Mrs. Isler.
Second.
Second, Mr. Nichols. Roll call vote, Mrs. Isler.
Approve.
Mr. Nichols.
Approve.
Mrs. Pugh.
Approve.
And Mr. Lee.
Approve.
So approved, and we adjourned at 8:14 p.m. Thank you.